good evening, everybody. Welcome to Fairway to Heaven, right here on DSM Media. We're live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, retweet, share. And if you're watching on YouTube, the best place to get interactive with the show, do me a favor, like this video and click the subscribe button. 2 buttons right below the screen there. Do that for me. Hey, I think we're off to a great start already here because I did not forget the name of the show. So anybody that came back for this week's episode, thank you. At least you know what the name of the show is, Fairway to Heaven. I am your host, Phil Stifel. Shoot me a follow at Bearded Knowledge. Jason Sullivan here at JSully2121. Are you proud of me, Jason? I didn't forget the name.
Dude, batting 1,000 so far. You got to start somewhere, you know? It's like a slump breaker. It's like when you're in a baseball slump and you hit that little nubber off the end of the bat, it bloops in. We're back in business.
Back in business, baby. All right, I'm working on my old school computer here too, which is not good. So if I accidentally close out mid-show, that would be just totally clutch for, what I've been doing lately, in the computer and podcasting world. So do not, be surprised if something goes wrong here today. So what's up, Jason? How you doing today?
So listen, please sponsor us. We might be a mess on the outside, but we're really good people. So please sponsor us.
I'm wearing a DraftKings shirt, and they don't even sponsor us. I don't even know why I got this on the air.
Well, I am wearing one of our sponsors
right
right
now.
now.
Us anymore, actually.
Oh, never mind. Fuck them.
Forget them. Take the shirt off. Turn it inside out.
That's right. You don't want to see that.
How was your 4th of July weekend?
It was good, buddy. Spent some time with the kids, with the lady friend. It was good. How was yours? I know you cooked a bunch of food.
Cooked a lot of food, sweated my butt off. I didn't even get into I spent literally like hours cleaning my pool the day before, and I never even got to get in it on the 4th of July. So it kind of annoyed me,
I didn't even know you had a pool. I would have been there.
It's a little cheap Intech pop-up pool you get at Walmart for like, $200. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's ghetto looking, but it's fantastic. On a hot day, after this show, I might go jump in if the rain has stopped because it's perfect.
There you go.
All right, so we got the Scottish Open this week. How do I say it? Is it like do we phrase it now? It's like a co-sponsored by the DP and the PGA.
Co-sanctioned, I believe, isn't it? Isn't that what they call it?
That's what they're calling it. Yeah. So
dual sanctioned.
Because you got the Barbasol going on this week, and nobody cares about the Barbasol, and rightfully so. If you thought last week's John Deere was a tough one to handicap, the Barbasol is even worse. So everyone's all overseas getting ready for the Open Championship next week at St. Andrews. So we got the Genesis Scottish Open. I was trying to make sure I got all the names in there right. Renaissance Club. It's in Scotland. I've never been over there to England, Scotland, any places like that. And honestly, while it'd be really cool, I'm not personally a huge fan for my game of link-styled courses. They don't really fit my style of golf swing. Not that any course does. But you got a lot of guys over there. You got over 150 golfers. A lot of the top 70 in the world are in this event. You've got a lot of top guys from both the European Tour or the DP Tour and the PGA Tour in this event. And the problem comes that there are not shot gain, stats for the DP Tour. So it makes it very hard to handicap and talk about this event. So I ask you, first off, before we even get into the course, how are you thinking going into this event how are you going to pick it apart, knowing that, some of these names that I see people talking about, Ryan Fox or Murdoch or one of the Molinari twins. There's a lot of names that people are talking about, but we have no data on these guys. They've got like 3 rounds or 8 rounds on the PGA Tour, and that's it. So how do you go about this? What's your philosophy?
So, like you mentioned, this field's loaded. I think it's like 19 of the top 20 or 18 of the top 19. I think Rory's the only one that's not there.
Not in.
Yeah. So I feel like people are going to gravitate to the same Euro guys, the ones that they do. You mentioned Ryan Fox. I've heard his name on every podcast I've listened to today so far. You got to kind of find that diamond in the rough. It kind of opens up the opportunity, though, I think, for you to find that guy that's 2% owned that nobody knows that just happens to be playing well. The tricky part is a lot of the guys like Ryan Fox, for example, they talk about this on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast that I listened to today. His success has been amazing lately. He's had a lot of top 2s. A third, a fifth, a ninth, but like look at the events he's playing in. That's the hard part. Like to handicap that versus what these PGA guys are going. They've had a pretty tough stretch until last week of like what tournament they've been playing. So, like you said, it's tough. It's definitely tough. But like this week, I kind of like this week though because it kind of gets you in that mentality. When next week is very similar too. So loaded fields, obviously both. So I think it's kind of a fun week.
On top of just the basic fantasy national stats. I've gone old school, and I'm just going through the DraftKings board
Yeah.
and clicking on Ryan Fox or any of these guys.
Yep.
And what have they done in their last 10 events? What have they done? Where have they placed? Yes, I know some of the events don't have the strongest fields in the DP Tour, but still, if they're playing well, I guess recent form, which obviously you don't get on Fantasy National or FanShare right now because of this event, you're just looking at recent form, I guess, right?
That's a great point too. So I think that sometimes gets lost in the whole because so many stats are available. Everybody has a model. Everybody has their sites that they use. It's kind of like the old school, just like how's this guy playing? Who's mispriced? Like that's what I used to do. That's how I used to start every single week. And I started to go back to that a few weeks ago. It's just like going through the board, kind of like looking at people's recent form. Who seems mispriced, whether it's too high or too low. See if you can kind of gain an advantage on that. So yeah, that's a good point by you.
Yeah, I mean, and before this podcast, when I was just getting started with golf, hell, we could even turn it into like fantasy football. I never even if you talk just straight baseball, I hate analytics. We use analytics to get our player pools and our picks here, but I'm not an analytic person. I'm just a what have you done for me recently
eye test
kind of person.
Yep.
I'm an eye test kind of guy, and this is the perfect week just for me to get back to my basic eye test kind of formula of doing things. And I won't lie. Sometimes with so many unknown names in the field, you might miss some of these guys. I'm not going to click on and study the last 10 events of 150 guys. That would take, forever. I don't make the money that some of these, the degenerates make or Rick
Right.
makes or, some of the big timers make. But, I guess that's the best way. So I know you do your article for FanShare course, right up the Renaissance Club in Scotland. I had it up what town in Scotland, not that it really matters.
New Berwick, I believe it's called.
North Berwick. Yeah, nobody knows where
Berwick.
North Berwick is. I mean, I don't know where North Berwick is. I'm assuming you don't know where it is either.
No, it's in Scotland.
It's in Scotland. There you go. So what do we know about this course?
So it's very close to a link style. It's not exactly a link style course, but it's very similar, like you mentioned. It's kind of a weird design course in terms of that there's 5 par 3s and 4 par 5s. You don't really see that too often. The greens are another thing that comes into play. They're fescue greens, which is probably most comparable to bent grass if you're looking to do a comp for that. Obviously, the biggest thing in this course that you need to know is the weather. I mean, it's a coastal course. It's a beautiful course. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it, but it's an amazing course. It's built right on the coastline in Scotland. It's beautiful, but the weather is definitely going to come into play. I've seen some of the days there's up to 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, so that's going to be a thing. You're going to want good wooden players. I've been kind of going along those same lines about doing the 4 stats that matter most to me, and the 4 stats this week for me are tee to green, approach, off the tee, and birdie or better.
Okay. So first off, link style win. And I don't even think it comes into play where, there's different waves, like the morning wave, the AM PM wave or the PM AM wave is better in this kind of course. When we get to Europe and Scotland and link styles, I mean, all the waves are going to have pretty similar issues, right?
Well, it's such a crapshoot. I think more than that. I looked at the forecast yesterday and then I looked at it again this morning and it was way different. So you have to look at it literally up until the hour. I think right now there's a slight wave advantage of an AM PM stack. So you're going to want to play the guys that tee off first, but I don't think it's going to be really hard you're going to have to monitor up until the last second.
Do you actually enjoy watching golf when wind is at that kind of level? Because it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun, but also I kind of feel for the guys when you're playing in 30-mile-an-hour winds. And sometimes when you get out here for the Scottish Open and the Open Championship next week, sometimes the wind's so out of control that the ball just won't stop. What I mean? It'll roll right off the green and stuff like that. So it's kind of tough.
It is tough.
If it frustrates me watching it, it probably frustrates them even more playing in it. You there still?
Back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that you? Was that me? I don't even know.
I don't know. They both went blank and then they came back.
All right. There we go.
All right.
So what did you hear and what did you not hear? Did you hear everybody talking about you and how bad of a person you are?
No, the wind. No, I agree with you. It's something to monitor. I do like to watch it, to be honest with you. I mean, to a certain extent. Obviously, when it gets like it was, remember the Players? It was just an absolute crapshoot. That's not fun. I do like tough conditions. I do like watching. I really like the Open. I've always liked the Open just because it's so tough.
St. Andrews this week. It's my favorite one of the Open courses. That would be probably either 1 or 2 on the dream courses to play right there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
agreed.
So anyway, link style courses, the wind, and all these different factors. I love that you didn't put in driving distance. You're off the tee, tee to green, things like that. Because when you're playing link style courses, when you got the wind in play, what is it, about 7,200 yard par 71.
71. Yep.
Yeah, a bunch of par fives and par threes, only 9 par fours. Driving distance matters, but I think it's negated because of a link style course and the run out that the ball gets. Those shorter hitters, it really doesn't affect them at all. Correct?
No, because I mean, honestly, it's still a second shot golf course. You're still it's the mid to long range irons, which is going to be the key to this course. It's like, as long as you're not putting yourself in a bad spot off the tee, which hence off the tee versus, like you said, distance, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be, it's similar approach shots, but that's where it's going to be won and lost, is the approach shots.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I forget which podcast I was listening to first. I listened to a couple of them. And the first one I listened to this week, they said their first thing was driving distance, and I clicked off. So I'm like, no, driving distance to me is not important in a course like this, in a style of course like this at all. So, interesting. So at least we're on the same page. Our approach shot around the green, I think, is underrated to an extent on link style courses because of the run out. You can run your second shot up there. Hell, shorter par fours, you can run all the way up there if you get the right angle, the right wind, and the right spin on the ball. So I think around the green is an underrated, underappreciated stat when it comes to link style golf courses.
100% agree with you. So I've been doing the 4 stats. My 5th stat is around the green. So that kind of shows you, like, I'm not weighing it in my model, but I'm looking at it quite a bit. So I think it's definitely important.
I put it in at 10% because to me, you see, I don't know a lot about this course specifically. But when you get to like St. Andrews and the Royal Georges, the ones that host the Open Championship, you see so many people win and lose it around the green, whether it's in the bunker shots, the pitch shots, trying to putt off the green, whatever it may be. So I always try to, on link style courses, take a little bit more than normal in around the green.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Excellent. All right, so let's look at the field then. Obviously, like we said, massive field, major level field. Rory's the only one not, in it out of the top, 20 guys. And so you kind of get major pricing. You've got 4 guys in the 10K range. So exciting to see Matthew Fitzpatrick get the respect and be 10-1. You got Justin Thomas 10-6, Rahm 11, and Scotty Scheffler 11-2. Thoughts on that top tier range? And did they overprice Matthew Fitzpatrick because he got his first win?
No, I don't think they did, to be honest with you. He deserves it, definitely. This range, I know we say this a lot, but like, especially like in a tough field like this, like, it's hard to not like all these guys. Like, exactly, you really have to pick and choose.
Case for any of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, it seems like the no-brainer play right now is Scotty Scheffler, just because I think his floor is the highest. I mean, he hasn't putted well. His short game has been terrible for the quote unquote terrible, right? For the past 3 weeks or so. His worst finish is a T18. So. Right. I mean, you're seeing at his worst, he's T13 at the Travelers, T18 at the RBC Canadian. Like, he is such a stud golfer. I mean, he was T12 here last year, too, which I like guys that have played. I heard on the Tour Junkies podcast today, just a little while ago, that the last 12 winners of the Scottish Open had played at least one time here before. So that's a key for me. So Scotty's my favorite. Second one is probably JT. I feel like his overall game, his iron game, sets up perfectly. I mean, he's been in pretty good form. He was a T8 here last year and a T9 here in 2019. So obviously played here. His stats just line up so perfectly for this course. So those are my 2 favorites.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at JT, I mean, I've got not all in my model. Some of them are 0%, but I got 9 stats up on my screen. And JT's worst out of the last 36 rounds in this field is around the green, and that's 16th in the field. Yeah. And that's his worst stat. 7th in approach, 3rd total, 10th off the tee, 7th birdies or better, 6th ball striking, 12th par 5 scoring. Par 5 scoring is going to be very important this week as well, because you got 4 par 5s on a par 71 course, and they're all kind of sort of reachable. If you got if the wind's going in the right direction, they're all reachable. So you're going to need to be able to score. So he is literally at worst 16th in any of the stats. So I love JT this week. You mentioned Scotty Scheffler. Obviously, you can't go wrong. John Rahm, I mean, you can't go wrong there. I just don't know if I'm ready to pay $10K for Matthew Fitzpatrick in this field.
It's tough too.
Be like 95-ish. I don't have it up right now. and I wanted to get into it after we're done breaking down this event. The pricing for the Open Championship has already come out, and Will Zalatoris is at like 97 or 9,800, but he's only 93 this week. So I'm kind of thinking Will Zalatoris should have been that guy at 10K, not Matthew Fitzpatrick, and that's just kind of where I was at. But honestly, I'm only going to do 5-6 lineups this week. I'm not doing my typical 20. I actually may fade the complete top 10K range.
You can do that for sure. Yeah, because the 9K range is loaded.
All those guys are going to be somewhere between 15 and 20% owned. They're all good, really great players, but I don't know. Everybody's going to gravitate towards at least one of those guys in all their builds. So I actually have kind of completely faded the top 95 and above in all my lineups, or at least my potential builds that I've made so far. I don't know. Thoughts on fading the entire 10K range?
You could do it for sure. The 9K range is loaded. I guess I'm going to ask you, like, who do you like best in the 9K range then? Like, who do you want to start your lineup with?
Well, I'm starting my lineups. I'm starting my first bet I made, and I'm starting all my lineups. I'm back on the Cam Smith train. Just I got off of it, and he hasn't played bad this year since he's kind of had his fallen off after the Masters. He's kind of like that, He's kind of like that. Let me pull up his stats here on DraftKings instead. So I got any European starts that he's got on his belt. Since the Masters, hell, he missed the cut at the U.S. Open. We know that it was a tough U.S. Open, but he's got a 48th, 13th, 13th, a third, a first, a third. The guy's won multiple times on tour. I always said two names were going to win the Open Championship this year, and if you're going to win the Open Championship, you better play well at the Scottish Open. That last tune-up. And I said Cam Smith or Victor Hovland were going to be my favorite to win the Open. So both of them, I feel, kind of meet this as a tune-up. Cam Smith wants to get back on, top-tier shape for next week. This is the week for Cam Smith right there. And he does all the things around the green, the approach shot, all those things so well. I love Cam Smith this week. That is my anchor on every single line.
No, I like that too. Zalatoris, you mentioned too. Like, how do you not like Zalatoris?
I love him.
Anytime the field's tough, I like him for sure. I think kind of an interesting one to me in the 9K range is Hideki. Like, he kind of is always the forgotten guy. I mean, he's a stud. 4th at the U.S. Open. Like, we know he can win the big event. So I think kind of maybe I'm hoping is an under the radar play is Hideki this week in the 9Ks.
Well, according to fantasy, so I got Fantasy Nationals ownership percentages right now. And like I said, I always preface it by saying you're either going to lose 1 or 2% or you're going to gain 3 or 4% on these numbers by the time Wednesday afternoon comes along. First off, Will Zalatoris right now is the 4th highest owned guy, projection-wise. He's at 16%, so he's probably going to come in at 16, 17 to 20% Will Zalatoris. Where is he? Hideki Matsuyama normally falls in that 10, 11 range. He's already at 14% owned, projection-wise, which means maybe more and more people are starting to, catch on that Hideki shouldn't be that underrated guy. So I'm not sure where I stand with Hideki. I love Will Zalatoris. I'm just not playing him if he's at 20%. That's the only reason why I'm not playing him. I'll look at his odds. I'll consider betting him. But I'm not going to use him in my lineups. Colin Morikawa is another one. Colin Morikawa, everybody's talking about how he's pulling all his shots and pushing all his shots, and he's all over the place. And I said, look at Colin Morikawa for the U.S. Open. What did he do? Finished in 5th place. And that was with the 3rd round being one of the worst rounds of golf you're ever going to get out of Colin Morikawa. He almost shot an 80 in the 3rd round, and he still finished in the top 5. So Colin Morikawa is a guy that I think more people should be talking about. Let me see where his ownership is. It's not even in the top 20 here right now. He's at 11%.
11, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. So a guy that just finished the U.S. Open, super tough conditions, and only 11% people are projecting.
The only knock about him is that he's come out before and said, like, the week before the majors, I'm just trying to get right for the major.
Yeah,
that makes me. Phil used to say that all the time. Tiger said that in the past a little bit. Phil mostly though. So that makes me a little bit worried about him. I just feel like I love Morikawa all the time, but I just feel like there's better options above him and right below him. So I'm probably not going to play him this week.
Yeah, like I said, I've already built 5 lineups right now, and I've only got 2 guys. Actually, I did put Will Zalatoris in one of the 5 lineups, so I take that back. I guess I ignored my ownership thing, and I did put him in one lineup. But Cam Smith and Will Zalatoris were the only 2 names in that 9 and 10K range that made it into the to the player pool that I built so far. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Cantley, nobody's talking about him. Colin Morikawa, said Sam Burns is getting a lot of ownership clicks because I think maybe he should be a little bit more expensive than he is at 92, and people are jumping on that 92 there. But I want to get your opinions on Spieth and Hovland in that 8K range, 8,900 and 8,800. To me, both those guys should have been at least in the 9K. And 89, 88 should jump their ownership up a lot. Jordan Spieth's only at 14%. Victor Hovland's only at 10%. Why is the price so low? And why is nobody clicking on that cheap discounted price?
So Spieth, I think Spieth's ownership ends up being higher once it's all said and done. I feel like I like him better this week. I feel like he sets up perfectly for this course. He's actually been really good off the tee. He kind of has the reputation of spraying it everywhere, but he's been really good off the tee. So I like him a lot this week. The thing about Victor Hovland is that he has not been good. Let me pull up his recent form real quick. He's not been playing very well.
Last time he went and played on the DP Tour, though, he had a fourth and a first.
True.
I know it was the beginning of the calendar year, but when he was playing in Europe or on the DP Tour, he was kind of on fire.
I agree. And the one thing with his price that is crazy is that it's cheap. I mean, a guy that's like tailor-made for this kind of a setup, and he's 8,800. The one knock is around the green, though. Again, like we said, around the green is super important. He's one of the worst on tour. So that's interesting to me. Spieth, I think, is a play for sure, though.
Yeah. I mean, I was clicking on both of them. I'm dabbling with their betting on both of them. Yeah, obviously, Victor Hovland, last 36 rounds, 130th in the field around the green, 87th in his short game. But the rest of his game's on par. I don't know. I just see those prices, and I'm like, I don't know if you can get off of an 8,800 Victor Hovland or an 8,900 Jordan Spieth. I mean, especially when you got Sam Burns at 92, that's getting 16% ownership or 20% ownership, and Jordan Spieth's going to be at 14%, 15%, maybe it goes up. Victor Hovland at 10%. That's kind of the difference between winning and losing a GPP.
You know what, too? Look at that could be your third guy in. If Spieth or Hovland's your third guy in your lineup, you're looking pretty good.
Exactly.
So
I don't know. It's just I kept that. I think the way I was building my lineup this week or building my pool this week was I was trying to find the guys. I just couldn't believe why they were priced the way they were. And honestly, even Cam Smith, I know he struggled his last few events, but it was 91, 89, and 88. I saw those three names. You could probably build a half decent lineup with all three of those names in it. Smith, I mean, that's not even a 9K average. So that's leaving you a decent amount of money to build out the rest of your lineup. So I don't know. That's just where my eyes grab. Like I said, I'm going old school, less analytical, looking at the prices, recent forms of different things. I don't know. They were the names that stuck out to me first, going from 88 all the way up to 11-2 at Scotty Scheffler.
I like it for sure.
What about the rest of this 8K range for you? There's a lot of strong names in this range.
Yeah, for sure. Fox is obviously the one that sticks out to everybody. But for me, I'd rather play Neiman, to be honest with you. I just feel like he's also tailor-made for this kind of course. 10th off the tee, 8th birdie or better. He's going to score. If the conditions get tough, I have confidence in him. It's kind of the same thing with Corey Connors. He's so good tee to green and off the tee that I feel like those two are probably my favorite in this range.
I'm actually hoping that the missed cut, that actually Connors and Neiman both missed their last cut. Connor last played at the U.S. Open, missed the cut. Neiman at the Travelers. I'm hoping, you would think Neiman at that price, 8,600. He's right now in Fantasy National. He's 11% owned projections. That's pretty cheap for a guy that's definitely got some win equity. And Ryan Fox, for as much as people are talking about, I think it'll go up. He's only projected at 8.5% right now. I can see that getting 12, 15% because so many of the big name podcasts are talking about him. They'll hype him up, and those ownerships will jump up a lot come Wednesday afternoon. But I don't know. I think Neiman is the play in that range too. Once you get past Victor Hovland, I think you could definitely convince me that he wins. I also want to talk about. I haven't added him to it yet, but my new favorite golfer.
I knew you were going to go in there.
Billy Horschel at 8,200. If you guys haven't seen Billy Horschel's emotional conversation and interview, you have to go look at. Don't laugh at me.
No, I agree with you. I
mean, he laid it out. Basically, put all his cards on the table, calling out all the bullshit Live Tour stuff, all the bullshit lying. No, I'm not going to go, or no this, or no that. Dude, just tell us why you're doing it. Be honest, and when I saw his press conference, I'm like, dude, this guy is that's exactly how I've been feeling this entire time. Yeah, I wouldn't take the money, but if you're gonna take the money, just admit that that's why you're taking the money.
Well, you do that, not to mention the fact that, like what he said in his comments is like, why do you have to beg on the PGA Tour? Like, it gave you the opportunity to play professional golf on the highest stage. Like he said, like they're not doing anything wrong. Like, yeah, obviously they're not paying people as much as the Saudi league is, but like I don't know, it's a different kind of thing.
It's the schedule thing. He brings up the schedule thing, and everybody bitches that they play 35. He's like, you don't have to play 35 weeks a year.
Right.
You have to play a minimum of 15 weeks, or keep and to keep your card. Make them enough money, win an event, whatever it is to keep your card. That's it. If you play 35 events, Sung J.M.,
Patrick Reed.
Patrick
Reed's the same way. Yeah.
It's your choice. What was it? Who was it that last week or 2 weeks ago was complaining about how many times he played a year? Pat Perez. He's like, I was playing before Matt Wolff was born, and I've been playing 35 weeks a year since then. And nobody held a gun to your head and said you had to play.
Yeah. He even went farther. Like, I missed the birth of one of my kids. It's like, that's your own fault.
That is your own fault.
Yeah. That's your own fault. I don't feel bad for you.
Billy Horschel did finish 25th on the World Tour last week, or DP Tour 2 weeks ago, the BMW. So he's been getting his European play in. So I have no actual reason to like Billy Horschel this week, other than the fact that he's my new favorite golfer. Not a long hitter, but honestly, let's be honest, Billy Horschel's type of guy. Accurate off the tee, he'll make some birdies. Good around the green. He's a grinder. You would think a grinder in bad weather. Billy Horschel might not be the worst play this week.
No, I like Horschel. I like Horschel in general, but I like Horschel this week too, for sure. No, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, the grinders work here. All right, so what else do we got here? Cam Young, Max Homa, only 8K, finished fourth in my model. How did he only get in at 8K? And he's at almost 18% owned. Something's off there with that price. That's probably why he's almost 18% owned.
He's been good in majors too, for the most part.
Absolutely. 13th at the PGA Championship, 47th at the U.S. Open. Yeah, Max Homa is really good. Okay. Do you have any other thoughts on any of those guys?
No, I actually love the top of the 7K, though.
Keegan?
So kind of segueing our way down. I do love Keegan. Well, I hate Keegan as a golfer, but I love him this week.
Absolutely.
So
strategic golfer, doesn't hit it an awful ton, grinder.
Plays well at this kind of course, tough courses. He plays well at 7th at the U.S. Open. So I like Keegan a lot this week. And then my other one, I'm hoping, I'm going to look at the ownership right now, but I think this week I'm hoping that he's under the radar. I'm going to look at it right now. So he's 8%, is Killer Keith Mitchell. Like, he's just been really solid lately. I mean, T6 at the Travelers, T7 at RBC Canadian, T18 at the Memorial. He's never played here before, which kind of bucks the trend of, obviously nobody's won of the last 12 that hasn't played here before. But
do you hope he wins at 7,800? You know what I mean?
Well, I bet him. So yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So all right, I got
normally you. No. I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with there. But I mean, I feel like he sets up perfectly for this course. 3rd off the tee, 6th in par 5, and 5th in scrambling, which I think is underrated too this week. So 7,800, locking in Keith Mitchell this week.
There you go. All right, Keith Mitchell's good. I have no problem with Keith Mitchell at all this week. I'm trying to get to my DraftKings page here. So I like Keegan, obviously, this week. Keith Mitchell, I like this week. Another name that everybody's hyping up, Polish dude. Adrian Moronik. I don't even know if I said that right. Moronik. I don't know. I got to ask my Polish wife how you pronounce that last name.
You could ask your Polish best buddy over here, too. I don't know how to pronounce it, though.
You're Polish?
Yeah.
Sullivan does not sound like a Polish name.
Well, my dad's Irish. My mom's Polish, so
there you go. That's like me with a German name, but I'm really Italian. So yeah, everybody's talking up Adrian Moronik. Won at the Irish Open last week, missed the cut at the Porsche, but had a third. So his last 4 events, 6th, 3rd, missed cut 1st. So if you're looking for recent form, and if you go back even further, we can go back even further. So it's 1st, missed cut, 3rd, 6th, missed cut, 3rd, 28th, and we're going back into early March with that. I mean,
solid.
That's pretty good. For a guy that's 7,700, 6% ownership. I mean, I don't know anything about the guy. That's one of those random gems. I've heard a few people talk about him. He's only got 2 rounds on the PGA Tour in the last 36. so he doesn't really have any shots gained stats to really go off of. I don't know. That I heard one person mention him, so I looked him up, saw that recent form, and I'm like, kind of got to play the guy.
Do you like him better than Lucas Hebert and Bobby Mack?
Bobby Mack, I absolutely love. I did bet Bobby Mack 75-1. Bobby Mack's a big time player, a big game player.
He is a big time player.
Yeah, big time, big game. He's a big game hunter. He plays big in the big events. This is a big event. If people don't want to call it a big event because it's a tune-up for a major next week, it's a big event. When you're in this field, you want to win this field because you're 75 of the top 100 golfers are in it. You want to win this event.
Did you hear him talk today too?
No,
he was talking about he did a press conference today, and he's like, so he's got 18th and a 14th here the last 2 years. So he talked about it. He's like, this is my favorite tournament, favorite course, favorite part of the world to play in. So I like Bobby Mack a lot, but Lucas Hebert is another one. He was T9 last week, but T4 both the last 2 years here. So he's an interesting one. I would imagine that both of those guys will probably gain some popularity as the week goes on. So you have to monitor those numbers for sure.
Right now, they're both in the low 8% range. Yeah, I can see them getting up to
Which
10.
That's a steal. If it stays at that, that's a steal. But I feel like it's going to be
now. Do you prefer one over the other? Because I prefer Bobby Mack just because I've seen enough of it in big major events, not just majors, but the big time tournament. He's succeeded in those a lot. Plus, he's a cut maker. He very rarely misses a cut. So I kind of prefer Bobby Mack. Even if you told me Bobby Mack gets up to 12% and Herbert stays at like 9%, I'm still taking Bobby Mack over Herbert. I do like the Herbert play though a lot.
Yeah, definitely agree. Who else do you like in this range at the bottom?
Well, Bezuidenhout's another guy. Bezuidenhout kind of falls into the Bobby Mack category for me. Guy that likes to play big events. Always plays well in those set events. I'm trying to go down my list here. I think that's
Chris Kirk is interesting to me this week. So T7 at the RBC Canadian, T15 at Charles Schwab. He's never played here before, but I feel like his game kind of sets up really good. 17 to green in the field over the last 50, third around the green, 21st strokes gained total. I just feel like he kind of has the overall game. Like, I don't think he can win, but is it top 10 or 15 out of question? I don't think so. That's an interesting one. And then kind of a sleeper for me, well, I'm hoping it's a sleeper, is Harris English. He's starting to kind of round back into form. This kind of course would fit him really well if he was healthy. So I think he's starting to get healthy, so he's interesting to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of have written Harris English won like 60 times last year on tour. I kind of felt like he was never losing. So, yeah, Harris English, 19th at the Travelers. So he's getting back to some form of, what he was last year. So I don't mind that play. I want to pull up one other guy here. I just got to find him, another European guy that I heard somebody talk about on one of the podcasts. So I started looking him up. I just want to find him on DraftKings. He's not projected very high ownership-wise, just because he doesn't have great finishes, but he's made some decent finishes. So Thomas Detry from Belgium, 58th the Irish, but then 15th, 29th before that. He's got some other 15th place at finished 15th Punta Cana on the PGA Tour. He's got
4 straight made cuts at this tournament, though, including the last 2 years here.
He's got a 9th this year. So the guy's playing really good. He's only 7,100. But I heard people talking about him. I looked it up. I'm like, I don't mind this guy. 7,100 is not a bad price. But then it comes to the whole odds versus. So he's only projected 4% ownership right now. When you look at somebody's odds versus their price, it kind of it could scare you or excite you. So he's 7,100. But you know what his odds were on DraftKings today when I made a bet on him?
What's that?
180-1.
Wow.
So now does that say he's a bad DFS play, or does the DFS 7,100 price tell you that's a steal of a bet at 180-1? Because different odds versus prices like that could tell you it could go either way.
I feel like it's a steal of a bet. I like the fact that it's been played at this course 3 times. He was 43rd, 30th, and then 2nd 3 years in a row. So getting better every time. T2 last year. I like that play a lot.
Yep. So I bet him at 180. When I saw the 180-1 based off the 7,100, if somebody's 180-1, you would think they would be 6,300, 6,500, something like that. 7,100. I was like, all right, that's a smart bet right there. So I like that play right there. So what the hell just happened there? You still got me?
You all right?
Yeah. No, I accidentally maximized my screen there and blown up like really fast. Whoa. Yeah, there we go. So 6K range. Like I said, I actually don't have a single name starred in the 6K range because I've got so many other guys. Actually, hold on, real quick. Back to one other guy in the 7K because he's actually 7K even. It's I don't know if he's actually related to Francisco Molinari, but
Brother.
Eduardo Molinari, are they brothers?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I actually like Eduardo Molinari, and I'm trying to pull him up on the screen. He's got some really good finishes. He's only 7K. His European tour, 24th, 21st, 25th, 5th, 37th, 9th, 36th, 6th, 40th. He hasn't missed a cut since March 9th. The My Golf Life Open, hosted by Pecan Wood.
Jeez.
That is the last time he missed a cut. And he was still -4 in that event, and he missed a cut. So that must have been a birdie fest of some kind. But Eduardo Molinari from Italy, kind of like that play too, just so you know. Throwing that one in there.
No, I like that one. Matthew Neesmith is probably the one that jumped out the most to me. He kind of popped a little bit in my model, and also he has good form. So I like him. A couple other guys I like in there. Guido. I mean, T14 at the U.S. Open, he kind of always pops in models. For whatever reason, doesn't really always come through. But I don't know. He's interesting to me this week. Wyndham Clark is another guy that, like, he's kind of in sneaky good form. And, like, he used to be kind of like a birdie fest guy, but he's turned into a little bit more than that. So I don't hate that play this week.
I wanted to like Guido Migli. I thought I had that name prepped there. Migliozzi, my Italian brother. But he's missed 2 of his last 3 cuts.
True.
And that's probably why he's 6,300. Now, around those 3 cuts, he's got a 14th and a 10th. But, you know, I don't know. But you're right. He does play in the big events really well. So, you know, Guido might be a play. But since I'm not playing any 10K guys and I'm barely playing any 9K guys, I really didn't have to worry about the 6K range at all.
Love it. Who are your bets for the week?
So if the bets, I've got 5 outrights. Obviously, I think I've gone over them all mostly, but I did Cam Smith 25-1, Victor Hovland 30-1. I actually like betting Victor Hovland more than actually playing him, even though I said I will play him a little bit. But I think he's got a higher ceiling compared to how low his floor is. He might be 40th. He could win the event. So that's kind of where I'm at with him. I got Ryan Fox 45-1, Bobby Mack 75, and then Thomas Detry, like I said, 180-1.
You're probably gonna laugh at my bets this week, but
no,
I'm gonna give them to you anyway.
Yeah.
So Hideki 30-1. Like I said, Keith Mitchell 70-1. I feel like his form is too good to be 70-1. And then my last one, because he popped in my model, and also I don't know. I feel like I just have a feeling. Luke List 110-1.
Luke List.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even hear anybody talk about Luke List.
I know.
What's his price on DraftKings?
7,100, I believe, or 72.
That's a pretty cheap price for Luke List. 7,200. It's actually 29th in my model. 9th on approach, 8th off the tee, 5th ball striker, 10th in driving distance. Yeah, maybe.
You know
I don't know what Luke List has done overseas, but
you know what number he is in my model?
What?
3.
What? I wasn't looking at the screen. I was on another
3.
screen. 3.
Yes.
Okay. He's finished number 1 in my model multiple times this year.
Yeah, he's a stat guy.
Yeah, sure. When he finishes number 1 in my model, it normally means a missed cut. So I kind of
usually
stay away from
until this week.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you something here real quick. I'm going to share my screen real quick with my DraftKings screen here. So what I have done, I've brought up a temporary, it's just a free roll lineup, just so people could see. I've brought up a board here, and I've put Cam Smith, Jordan Spieth, and Victor Hovland, because we talked about that earlier in the show, that you could build your lineup around that. It still leaves you over $7,700, which means you could go and put Bezuidenhout or who else? Let me look at my list here.
Bobby Mack.
I was just going to say, what's Bobby Mack again? Price-wise? You could go Bezuidenhout and Bobby Mack. That still leaves you 8,100, which means you could play Keegan Bradley or Keith Mitchell. Would you tell me that this would not be a super exciting lineup?
No, I like that lineup.
I actually kind of have to write it down because I kind of want to enter it now. I haven't actually entered this anywhere. I'm writing this down because do not enter it in the lineup wherever I enter it. But yeah, that's an exciting lineup to me. You can have 6 guys all finish in the top 20 in that lineup easily.
Love it.
Dude, It's really interesting. I really like the thought process of staying away from the stars and scrubs to an extent and going, you know, as balanced as possible there.
Yeah, you can do that for sure. Like we said, I mean, the 8s and the 9s are loaded this week, so I don't hate that.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting, fun way to go. Um, real quick, did you take a look at the Open Championship yet?
I
And
have
the
not.
preview?
No.
I'm pulling it up because I do want to bring it up and just get a little thought because something jumped out at me and I can't remember what it was. So I want to pull it up here. First off, Rory McIlroy is number one priced at 11-1 over Scotty Scheffler. And it's really weird because if you look at this week's numbers and prices, like Zalatoris, he's gone from 93 to next week he's already at 96. Fitzpatrick 10-1 down to 97, a much more manageable play. Jordan Spieth 8,900 up to 10K for the major event. Like it's really interesting the way they decided to go from this week non-major to next week the actual major.
So Haddon's like that too. I think he's 78 this week. I think he's like 89 next week, something like that. Like
next week.
87, yeah. So
Insane. What will your thoughts be early now beforehand on the guys that have played the Live Tour and where do you think their game's not going to be in tip-top shape because they haven't had to play ultra competitive, ultra tournament, kind of golf? Do you
it seems like a
lazy form or
yeah. I was gonna say that same thing. It seems like an exhibition, right? And like you're seeing these guys. I mean, like DJ hasn't done anything so far. It's like I mean, the guys that you thought would win aren't winning anything yet so far. Patrick Reed's the one guy that like I could see him with such like a chip on his shoulder that he comes out and plays awesome. But like, who of the other guys, like who really excites you? Obviously, Paul Casey being the new one, but like, I mean, I don't know. None of those guys really super excite me anyway.
Yeah, 7,200 Keegan Bradley next week at St. Andrews.
Whew.
Already my play of the week right there.
There you go.
Love it.
Heard it here first.
I don't know. Did you catch any of golf highlights today or golf news today?
No.
Tiger Woods at some pro-am yesterday or
I
today?
saw a little bit of Tiger, yeah.
He did not look good, my friend.
No.
Should Tiger Woods even be trying to tee it up this week or next week at St. Andrews? I know he loves it. It could be the last time he gets to tee up at St. Andrews, in a competitive thing. Should he even be giving it a go at this point?
I would say no, but the only reason that I think yes is it's such a flat course. I think if it was a hilly course, I think he'd be screwed. But because the course is so flat, I think he plays. Did you see that picture that came out? I think it was like last week or the week before of him without the leg sleeve on. How bad his leg looks! It looks awful.
Next time we hang out together, you could look close at my leg.
Yeah. Ugh.
My leg, my bad leg's got like a bow in it, like this. No,
yeah,
because it's just not the same ever when you get hit like that.
Right. His was just like missing a chunk. It looked like.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that's what happened. When you almost get it amputated, it never ever looks the same.
No.
I personally feel bad. Like I don't ever want to say anybody's legacy gets hurt by continuing playing in any sport, but I kind of feel like Tiger Woods it's embarrassing to watch. He should have just. What harm would just sitting out another whole year have done?
Right.
You know what I mean? He can play in any major he wants, anytime he wants. There's whatever. He's the greatest of all time, or one of the greatest of all time. But I don't know. It kind of pains me to watch him out there laboring. And even if it's a flat course and not hilly, dude, some of the shots I saw he took and how off he was, like he was coming up 30 yards short on irons that were going in water. He sailed a green by like 30 feet and it bounced into the water. Like he has no idea what's going to happen when he hits a golf ball.
Well, and like somebody was saying that, I forget who said this, but they were like, even like watching him stand on the course, like he can't even stand comfortably. So, like, how do you play golf?
That's kind of my whole point. I don't know. I mean, I always love seeing him tee it up. I always love, back when he was hated by everybody, I was always a big Tiger Woods fan, just because I always rooted for the enemy. Hence why I always rooted for Bryson and Patrick Reed. Live Tour
and the Eagles and the Sixers. I'm sorry.
Here we go. Here we go. No, I was just gonna say something nice about Detroit, but never mind. Forget that. I don't want to see Tiger struggle out there. So I was just curious if you had seen any of it. The highlights did not look good. It'll be another 110% fade for me next week. We'll get into that next week though on the Open Championship. I just love that you get the information and the numbers so early for the Open. So it's pretty exciting to be able to take early looks at those kind of things.
It's kind of fun to watch golf too, like this week and next week to watch golf in the morning, to have it like come on when you're like early in the morning is kind of, I don't know. I like
I
it.
wish it was like just a little bit later, like
9
it starts
o'clock.
at, like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Like that. So I'm not getting like the first wave is almost done by the time I get up.
True. Yeah.
I don't want that early. If it could start at 7, that would be fine. Or like the television coverage start at 7, that would be fine. But yeah, I'm not watching golf at 4 a.m. though. But
Agreed.
St. Andrews will definitely be on the bucket list for sure someday.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you got anything else? I got Cam Smith winning. That's my final pound the table kind of moment. That's why I'm playing them. I'm betting them. Cam Smith wins the Scottish Open this week.
Hideki for me.
All right. You got anything else for me today?
No, just doing a great job.
Yeah,
fighting a good fight.
Yeah, fighting the fight. Keep it going. I'm in a little bit of my down stretch right now. I'm having a little rough go of it here, but I'm going to get it back. You know what? I won't lie. I think last year at this time of the year, I had a little struggle because these link styles. I just, it's like my game on a link style course radiates into my DraftKings picks.
I thought you meant life. You meant DraftKings.
Oh, no,
okay, sorry. I got you. Okay. Gotcha.
I'm just kidding. Don't need my DMs blowing up. Are you okay?
No. He's good.
I'm good. Everybody, did you see the pink suit? I'll share one more thing. I want you to judge this outfit right here. Okay. I'm going to put one thing up and then we're going to get off the air here. Let me see if I can find it. I just put this on Twitter earlier today. I need you to judge this picture. All right. I don't know the date. I don't know circa what year. I can guess what year it was from.
This is you?
No, this is not me.
Oh.
This is 1975-ish. It's my dad.
Oh, fire. Especially
look at that
70s.
That's mid-70s because we moved into my house where I was born in about 1978. This is not my house. So, yeah. Thoughts on that outfit right there?
I feel like your dad could pull it off. Like our dad's generation could pull it off. We are not cool enough.
There's no way I'm rocking that.
No, I would feel, yeah.
There's no way I could rock a pink jacket with pink pants, some kind of fuzzy haircut, and a big mustache like that.
And a big stash.
Yeah. Just to say, my mom hated the stash always. Whenever he would rock the stash, she would hate the stash.
My dad also had a stash, so there you go.
He would try to grow a beard occasionally, and then he'd be forced to shave that off by the mom. So, yeah. Anyway.
Good times.
We're going to wrap it up for the day there. Everybody, make sure you're following us on social media, Beard of Knowledge, Fairway to Heaven, Jay Sully 2121. That way we can answer any of your questions. Like, I don't like link style courses, but I'm feeling pretty confident with it this week. So let's all cash this week. Have a good one. And Jason and I will be back next week for the Open Championship at St. Andrews. A fun, exciting golf course. Lots of history. So everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Or talk to you next. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.